Hey, welcome back, folks, to Max Nafe Horsemanship and Baby Steps. And I said I wasn't going to do a video today, but changed my mind because of some things that happened yesterday. See, after I turned the camera off, well, did like I've said before, is taking her new places and such. And I've been taking her over into the yard and going up the driveway there and a little bit further each day. And yesterday, well, I may have taken her a little further than I should have, and I want to talk about what took place yesterday and some things that you can watch for and how you need to be prepared for things because you just never know what's going to happen, and that was one of those times. And well, I thought I'd talk about it because yeah, things can get a little exciting sometimes, and sometimes you miss things. And well, I'm also going to talk about something that I think I might have mentioned it earlier on, but I also talked about it in one of my other videos a while back. And it's one of the indicators of how stressed a horse is getting is how often it relieves itself. And that's something that can quite often tell you if you're pushing the horse a little too hard, it's getting into a situation it's not comfortable with. It'll start relieving itself quite a bit. And, well, that's exactly what she was doing yesterday. Now, I'm not going to have her out here with me right now. Sorry, you're not going to see her beside me today because I got to grab the camera and take you over and show you what we were dealing with yesterday because, you know, you kind of need to see what we're talking about so that you get an idea of the lay of the land, so to speak, and the situation we were in. And as I explain what occurred, because what happened was, like I said, I took her a little further than I should have. I don't think we actually crossed the line, but boy, I'll tell you, we got pretty darn close to it because she was getting pretty concerned, more so than I have ever seen her before. And, well, I think maybe you've already been a little misled by watching that horse because she's just a real cool, calm horse in most cases. And, well, it's not really fair because things can get pretty crazy sometimes. So in a little bit in this video, I'm going to insert a couple clips from other videos. And they're all going to be of the same horse, but it's one of my own horses that I got that was pretty much unhandled and completely untrained when I got him. And the first clip I'm going to show you is the first time I asked him to move. Now, you saw with this one that, well, it was pretty much a non-event. I asked her to move, waved the flag a tiny bit, and away she went. Didn't take much at all. The other one, no. He was a little more actually normal, which you're about to see. It looked pretty wild, but that's actually closer to normal. And I want you to see that because it's important for you to understand that occasionally when you're asking your horse to do something, things might get a little wild. And you might think, I'm doing something wrong. No, you're not doing anything wrong. That's just the way it is sometimes. Things get a little crazy. But that doesn't mean because it starts off bad that it's not going to progress, because I'm going to insert another clip right after that one, which is only about 15 minutes later, where all it takes is a point and he goes. So it goes from one extreme to the other. And then just so that you understand why we're doing all this nonsense is, well, I'm going to put another little clip in from another video of the end result after we started riding him, and just after we'd started riding him, and just how good he had gotten, and give you an idea of what you can achieve by doing what we're doing and taking your time and going slow. The end result's worth it, trust me, it's really worth it. And I've done the same thing a few times, and the end result has always been just wonderful. And basically how it works is I teach the horse everything it needs to know to be ridden before it ever gets ridden. So once I do get on his back, I'm not going to ask anything of the horse that it doesn't already know. Everything that it needs to know, I've already taught it. I do it all on the ground. A little more than some guys. Some guys are pretty good, and most the trend in we'll call it natural horsemanship type thing, there actually is no such thing if you ever hear it mentioned. But that general genre of horsemanship that's a little gentle and slower, guys are pretty thorough with the groundwork. And so when they get on the horse, it's not as big of an event, but I take it one step further, And I basically teach the horse pretty much everything it needs to know to be ridden without ever being ridden. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to enter another little clip of that. And so you'll see what you can accomplish, what the end result is, what we're working up to here with all this go slow, take your time and be thorough and do everything that you can possibly do. Yeah. But I've also mentioned paying attention, and well, yesterday I wasn't paying attention enough. I did a little bit, but not as much as I should have. And this goes back to, I was saying, you can tell how stressed the horse is getting by how many times it relieves itself. And that's an important one here, so just keep that one in the back of your mind, because I'm going to grab the camera, I'm going to go over there and show you the lay of the land over there, and kind of what we did yesterday, and I'll tell you more about the story, what occurred, and what I missed, and how I dealt with things, and all that good stuff, because it's stuff that I don't usually catch on camera, but it's stuff that you need to know. So hang on, I'm going to grab my camera and we'll go for a little walk here, and I'll show you what went on. So heading over this way, now hang on, I'll just get things in perspective here. Okay, there's the gate and the bale and all that good stuff. You know where this stuff is, you've seen it before. And we'll go over this way, and you can kind of see where the driveway takes a turn there. Now we go this way a little bit, and then it basically takes a 90-degree turn and starts heading up towards the house. And the house is not terribly far away. You wouldn't think it's much of a deal, but well, for the horse it can be. And I'm going to explain what happened. Here's the turn. We're right at the turn, and this is where I was leading her up towards the house. And you can see along the right side of the driveway, there's a fair bit of grass, and that's kind of what we were sticking to because, well, better footing. The driveway itself, being packed down from cars going up and down it and walking on it and everything else, it's pretty much ice. It's hard packed snow, but it's, you know, it's thawed and frozen again, and you know, it's really slippery. You don't really want to be on it, so we stayed a little bit more off to the right, where you can see the grass showing through. And as you can see, there's some bales lining the driveway on both sides here. And up further, no. Now at this point, I'm not even going to bother walking any further up, but because I don't need to. Now, just a little bit past that bit of grass you see there, there's actually another one you can't really see. There's a low spot there. But there's another little patch of grass there. But that's kind of where the good footing ends. Off to the side of the house there, very icy. Gets even worse because of the runoff from the snow melting, and that collects beside the house. And well, as you can see, there's a big row of trees there, and that makes a lot of shade, so it doesn't really dry up there at all. And off to the right, the snow gets rather deep, and it's kind of half frozen, not good for walking in or leading a horse through or anything like that. So basically, we got to the end of the good footing, which is just up there. And well, each day we went down this little route and got her a little closer to the house. And I was saying, one of the indicators of stress is when the horse is relieving itself a lot. Now, you probably can't see it worth a darn on the camera, but right along here, starting, well, just about right in here, there's little brown spots. Yep. She was relieving herself, but she was leading so well I didn't notice because I wasn't really paying much attention. I was looking ahead, watching where I was walking and that sort of thing. But when we got up to the very last spot, that was when I kind of was thinking about the footing and what I'm going to do about it and should we go any further. And that was when I turned around and looked, and wow, she was strung out like I've never seen before with her. Head was up, ears pricked forward, looking at that house like it's a monster about to eat her, and eyes popping out, and just, yeah, she was right at the line, horribly close to the line. Not what you want to see. And if you notice, I don't know if you can see them very well, but there's right about there, that's where the little brown spots start. And it wasn't until we stopped, I looked back and I noticed her relieving herself, and then I looked back further and I realized she'd been doing it for a while. There's actually along here several little spots where she'd been relieving herself. And very important point is it indicated that long before I noticed it, she was getting worried, because that is a sign of stress and worry, is when a horse starts to relieve itself. Well, anyhow, we get to the point of up there at the end of the good footing, and well, we had two choices: either go to the left of the house and go on the ice, which I didn't think was a good idea, horse is liable to fall, or go to the right and try trudging through snow that, like I say, it's half frozen and not good for walking in at all. I didn't really want to do either one. Now, there's several reasons for stopping there and turning around. Well, I didn't want the horse to slip on the ice and fall. I didn't want to slip and fall. If she fell, even if she didn't hurt herself, that may traumatize her enough that she wouldn't want to go up that direction again, because it would be related to a bad event, something she didn't want. And so we stopped. The other thing is, if she slipped and fell and got hurt, wow, I would feel really bad about that. And, well, a little less important, I would look really bad if in my care that horse got hurt. And I'm sure the owner wouldn't be too happy if they had to spend money tending to the horse because it got hurt. It would also put my training behind, because then all of a sudden we can't work the horse anymore until it recovers. So going to that point, not a good idea. And what happens is, well, the next part is, okay, we realized the horse was like at her absolute limit. There's no way we could take another step further forward. We decided, okay, smart thing to do, let's turn around. So that's exactly what we did. We turned around up there, right up there. You can't really see where, but right about the tip of my finger there. That spot, there's actually a little clearing there. We turned around there. Well, as soon as we turned around, she wanted to get out of there so bad, she bolted ahead of me. Now, this is where being prepared and our previous training that we've done came into play. And, well, I'm just going to go walk back over to a different place now to talk to you again about it and explain what else went on. So when we turned around over there, she wanted to get out of there pretty bad. Yep. She was not happy with that place one little bit, wanted to get away from that. I don't know, she thought that house was a horse-eating monster or something, but these are the kind of things that will happen when you're taking a horse into a new place, a new situation that it hasn't experienced before. Who knows how it's going to react to it? And this was one of those cases. We didn't really know what was going to take place, and well, we, as I always tell you, take it slow and go a little bit at a time, and that's kind of what we were doing. But well, yesterday I got a little carried away and we went a little too far. A little further than we should have, because I should have noticed that, well, a long time before we stopped, she was already getting uptight, and I should have stopped back then. That didn't happen, though. But this is where other training comes into hand, is because of all the work we've done leading and working with the halter on her and that sort of thing. She's gotten sensitive to the halter and responsive to the halter, because, well, here we go. This is where things get a little crazy, and you haven't seen me do this either. Well, when I turned around to head back, she spun around and bolted. She started going, and I saw what was happening immediately and held on tight to the lead. Didn't have much for gloves on, and didn't have a great grip, but she was sensitive enough to that halter that as soon as she hit the end of that lead, she stopped right away, immediately. As I tried to get in front of her again, because she was ahead of me at that point. And I should tell you that if you haven't done enough leading and halter work with the horse, and it panics, it doesn't care about that stuff. And it could easily, even a small horse like that, she probably weighs 4 times what I do, and she could easily have dragged me, or maybe even pulled the rope right out of my hand or something like that. But I was holding on tight, and when she hit the end of that lead, come to a stop, and she stopped instantly. Now, as soon as I tried taking a step ahead to get ahead of her, she tried moving ahead. I quickly gave another quick tug on the lead, something you haven't seen me do before, but if necessary, you can do that. It doesn't mean you have to yank the horse's head off. Just give it a good bump to get its attention, and paying attention to the halter and lead. Sometimes you got to get that extreme, but you're not hurting the horse, you're just getting its attention. And as it turned out, because of all the work we'd done with her, she responded fairly well. Thankfully, very good, because otherwise things could have ended a lot worse. But like I said, that's why all this stuff adds up. It all goes together. Taking her to a new place has everything to do with the halter work we've been doing. You know, it's all the same stuff. You know, if it wasn't for the halter work we've been doing, I would have been in big trouble. So anyhow, she turned around and wanted to bolt, and well, fortunately she stopped, and we did have some control over her. And hang on, I'm going to go get my lead and show you something, because I didn't show you this part. That I don't think, maybe I have. Well, not in this context anyhow, maybe. Hang on, I'm going to go get my lead. So I had the lead in my hand. Well, the halter was obviously on the horse. She was right here, somewhere. Imagine a horse here. There's a horse beside me. And every time I'd take a step forward, she'd try going forward. Well, I'd just, quick little bump. Not a real hard one. I'm not trying to pull her head off, and as you can see what it does to my hand. Just a little jerk. It's about as hard as you need to do, just to realize, no, you ain't going nowhere. And then once I got in front of her, every time she tried moving ahead, because, you know, I had a little bit of lead out like this, you know. Okay, she's over here beside me, something like that. Well, she kept trying to scoot ahead of me. And every time she did, I'd just spin the lead, because I always got a little bit extra there. And she was trying to come up on this side, so I just did that right in front of her face. And she quickly stepped back. I had to do that, I can't recall now, maybe 2 or 3 times. And then she started leading really nice and staying behind where she's supposed to. But, you know, it's not that she didn't lead well. She just wanted to get the heck out of there so bad. And once we got about halfway back, after that, she was leading just like she was supposed to. She was fine. Once she got back to her comfort zone, and that's, you know, where I say, you know, you got to be paying attention all the time, because there's all these little indicators that, you know, tell you that the horse is getting stressed out. And I kept going. I didn't notice because she was leading so well. I didn't realize she was relieving herself the whole time. It wasn't until I stopped and turned around and looked and realized, holy smokes, this horse is just wound right up. I think we better stop right here, because going any further, because at that point she was really dancing around a lot too. And if we had been on the icy surface, she probably would have slipped and fell. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So if I'd been paying a little more attention, I would have seen it earlier, but because she was leading so good, I didn't notice. There was no resistance on the lead, but she was getting nervous, and I should have caught that and stopped sooner. I would have eliminated a lot of risks and problems, but those are the kinds of things that can happen. And I'm sharing this with you because things aren't always a bed of roses. You know, sometimes things get a little wild. And like I said, I'm going to insert this next clip that'll show you exactly what's going on. And I'll repeat again. The setup is, it's the very, very first time I ever asked them to move. I had them on a halter. I'd just finally convinced them to accept a halter, and I wanted them to move forward. And it's the very first time, very first, absolute very first. And he had no idea what I wanted, and he got really upset with that flag and started running backwards. We started off pretty close to one end of the arena. By the time he went forward, we were almost at the other end of the arena. But the next clip I put after that is, I think about 15 minutes later. I can't say for sure. I had the camera going the whole time, so I'm going to jump ahead in that one and take little bits and pieces out of that video. But within a matter of about 15, 20 minutes, all I had to do is point and he'd go. It was that simple. That's how good things can get, how fast they can improve. But they can start out pretty wild too, and I want you to know that. And this isn't just with asking your horse to move. It could be just about anything the horse might get a little too concerned about. This stuff can happen, okay? And I want you to understand that this is reality. Most horses will react like that. That's a rather common thing. I've had a couple of horses that I didn't catch on camera that did exactly the same thing. And, well, that's what you're going to be dealing with. So I'm going to show you those ones. The first time I asked him to move, about 15 minutes later, and then several months later, when I started riding him, how good he actually ended up being, and that's what we're working up to. And I want to throw those in now, and then I'll come back in a minute and bid you a good day. Point. And we're going to just keep moving this, and we're going to take a step towards him, and we're going to keep moving this. And I should also mention now something that's important. Go. Now, he might not want to go forward yet. He might want to try and run backwards or whatever, in which case we're just going to keep doing this until he goes forward. And we're going to keep this on this side. And come on, buddy. Way you go. Way you go, buddy. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, attaboy. Come on. I should probably mention, I'm going to actually take a break in a second here and mention something that I think I need to tell you about. There we go. He went. As soon as he moves, I stop flagging. The arm comes down. We leave him alone. And that's actually not uncommon to have him go that far away before he finally decides to go forward. He's not, oh, look at that. He responded just to my point. Do you want a horse that is good with all kinds of strange sounds and noises and movements, things like that? You want a horse that's good with its feet. I mean, a horse that's good with its feet can make your life a lot easier when it comes to cleaning it, and make your farrier's life a whole lot easier too. Is that one of those things you want? A lot of people do. I know your farrier does. I'm sure a lot of people would like a horse that's that easy to catch. And most days he is. Or maybe what you'd like is a horse that'd stand still while you're putting the saddle on without even tying it. Or maybe what you'd really like is a horse that'll stand at the mounting block for you. And maybe something else you'd like is a horse that does not walk off while you're getting on. And waits for you to ask him to go. Maybe you'd also like a horse that is so soft on the reins that people don't even notice when you ask them to stop. What you need to know about this guy here is, well, he's only got maybe 5 hours on his back. Well, hope you enjoyed those little clips and got to see a horse. Wasn't this one, but it was actually one of my own horses. And at the time, he was only about 4 years old. By the end of the last clip, he was a little older. I had him around for a while by the time I sold him, because my full intentions with that one was to buy him, train him, sell him. I was not interested in keeping it at all, but I actually ended up keeping him about a year longer than I should have, because I had a hard time selling that horse because he just turned out so good. I was so impressed with him. He had an excellent personality, as well as the process of what I did with him worked so well on him that, oh man, to this day I still miss that horse. He was a good one, and that was a few years ago I sold that one now. So, but it's evidence of what you can work up to and your end goal. I'm going to include as much as I can about that one, and you know, I just started riding him. I hadn't been riding him that long. You got to understand that too. And I think I mentioned it in that clip, but he only had maybe 5 hours on his back or whatever. I don't remember now. At the time, it wasn't a heck of a lot. He was pretty darn green. And every time I got on that horse, I had to remind myself I was riding a green horse because he was so darn good. That's what can happen. But that's what we're working up to, okay? So don't think that any of the stuff that we're doing is a waste of time. It all has a reason and a purpose, and it is trying to achieve something, in the end, you're going to have a horse that you're just going to love riding because he's going to be so darn good. Well, that's what you want, isn't it? Oh, go have fun with your horse and have a good day. Bye now.